So welcome to the 5 steps to awesome strategic referral partnerships. What I'm going to do is spend a good kind of 35, 40 minutes on just giving you a nice structure and framework for how you can look at strategic referral partners moving forwards. There's only so much we can cover in this time, so it's going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Hopefully there's going to be some really actionable takeaways that you can go away and implement. But if not, and you'd like some further support on this, then right at the very end, if I've given you a load of value, hopefully you won't mind me taking literally just a couple of minutes where I'll outline the stuff that I do with you on if you want to work with me ongoing and how I can support. But this isn't one of those webinars where essentially nothing gets shared with you and it's just a veiled sales pitch. There's going to be a whole bunch of actionable stuff for you to go away and use in your partnerships moving forwards. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah, lots of heads. Perfect. Right, so let's start with some stats. We all love a good stat. 84 B2B decision makers say that they start the buying process with a referral. And once those referrals come in, typically that lifetime value's much higher as well. And that probably, in fact, I know it doesn't take into account the fact that referred customers are more likely to then refer you as well. So there's that ongoing benefit. Companies with formalized referral marketing programs experience 86% more revenue growth than those that didn't as well. Huge stats, and really puts into focus that age-old saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now, I think there's a variation on this because I think it should be changed to it's not just what you know, it's who you know. And when you combine those two things together, it can be really, really powerful. Word of mouth marketing is the oldest form of marketing, and yet it's the one that so few people actually dedicate time, money, investment, and strategy behind. So much so that only 30% of companies surveyed had a formalized referral program. So, quick show of hands. Mary, it'd be interesting to see if you can do a show of hands while walking and carrying your laptop, but we will see. Quick show of hands. How many people here are getting referrals? Okay, everyone, yay. How many people are asking for referrals? Okay, yeah, a few waving hands, a couple straight up. How many would you say have a proper process behind this? Oh, no one today. Oh yeah, okay, Matt's got a little issue. And with those, Matt, would you say that you've got partners in place or just people that refer a bit consistently?
Same people every time, usually unprompted, but I do like to check in every now and then.
Okay, cool. So there we go. So we're below the 30% margin here today, which is great because it means you've got loads of stuff you're going to be able to go and do. So before I get too deep into the partnership stuff, you've already heard me mention referrals and partnerships. I just want to give a little bit of an overview of no dictionary definitions here, purely my collaboration junkie definitions of where I see referrals and partnerships sitting. And I know a few people here have done kind of referral workshops with me before. So referrals can come from anyone and everyone, right? Your customers, your clients, your network, your colleagues, your team members, wherever it may be. But the quantity and quality can vary because they tend to be a little bit more ad hoc. There's lots we can do to make it more consistent and increase that quantity and increase that quality, but it's always going to be slightly ad hoc. When we're working with partners, it's about these people that have a vested interest in referring your ideal clients at the ideal time for them to buy on a consistent basis. And that's where that strategic referral partner bit comes in. But in order to do that, you've got to have a strategy. And that's what we're going to look to cover today. Before we do that though, for those of you that I've not met before or not come across me, just a very, very quick bit on me. I have got 20 years experience of doing this stuff. You see the Business Scene logo up in that top left-hand corner. I've got a background in business membership. I worked for the Chamber of Commerce, then I ran my own membership organisation, Business Scene. We grew that to a couple of thousand members, almost entirely through referrals and strategic partners. That then morphed into a benefit business, where we were providing access to a whole range of business benefits to communities, and worked with some of the big brands you see here, providing them leads, acting as their access point to the SME market. And that's where a lot of my experience has been gathered, actually providing leads to others. So I've had some successes along the way, had thousands of partnerships, reach of over 1 million small business owners, but either made or witnessed quite a lot of failures or mistakes along the way. And all the work I do is based on practical lived experience. And that is what I do now at Collaboration Junkie. I work with service and SaaS brands to really help them nail their strategies so they can go out and make the most of these strategic referral partners. So I keep coming back to that word strategy. We need a strategy. Like all good knowledge sharers, I have an acronym. And mine is DANCE. And that's the 5 steps that we're going to cover today. So we're going to look at discovery, who your ideal partners are and why they want to work with you. We're going to look at the assembly of a partner program, all the behind the scenes systems. We're then going to move on to the processes, the communication processes that help you nurture amazing relationships. We're then going to look at activating your partnerships. How do you help your partners to connect you to their audience? And then last but not least, we're going to look at engagement. How do we go out there and get these new partners on board? Put them all together and we will be dancing away. So, one overriding rule with all this stuff. Quick show of hands. Who's busy at the moment? Yeah, everyone. Yes. Okay, Jenny's got an iffy bit, but most of us are most people are busy. We live in just a busy time, don't we? There's always things to make us feel busy. Because of that, we become lazy. And I don't mean slobby lazy. I mean, if something isn't part of our core day-to-day activity, and it takes brain power and effort to do, there's a good chance we're going to put it on our I'll get round to it pile. And my I'll get round to it pile often doesn't get looked at until I wipe it off my metaphorical desk. And so if you want people to do something above and beyond what they do day to day, which is what we're looking for here in terms of giving and receiving of referrals on a consistent basis, you need to make it easy for them to do so. The easier you make it for someone to think about something and physically do something, the more likely they are to do it for you. And that is the name of the game. So overriding rule with all this stuff is make it easy. And you'll hear me repeat this as we go through. So let's crack on with the content. First step is discovery. And this is all about understanding who your ideal partner is. It doesn't mean that we don't work with anyone else. It just means that if we've got a really clear understanding of who our ideal partners are, then we're much more likely to attract them. Now, there's all sorts of things that go into understanding who an ideal partner is. First and foremost, there needs to be obviously an audience match in terms of they are talking to your demographic, and they need to be having congruent conversations with your demographic. You could share the same customer with someone, but if they're just not talking about the right things, or they don't have the level of authority that their referral means something, then it's not a great match. Also, things like values come into here. If you're working with long-term partners, then you want to ensure that there's a match in values and how you treat your customers. All these things go into understanding who your ideal partner is. But there's a couple of things that I want to cover today. The first one being around being specific, and it's about really understanding who an ideal customer is for you. This isn't a workshop on or webinar on niching your business. And I'm not asking people to necessarily shut off doing work with anyone else. But the more targeted you can be, the more you can segment your audience and really look at who those ideal customers are, the ones that convert quickly, that you enjoy doing the work, that it's impactful, and that the margins are right. The easier you can demonstrate real value in a niche, the easier it will be for you to attract partners than when you're being generalist. And that ability to demonstrate value quickly and specifically is what will build trust quickly with your partners. That's social proof. It allows you to stand out from the crowd. So having been really clear on either a particular service that you're offering that's defined or a particular target market will really help you be much more clearer when you're looking at your ideal partners. And with that piece, as I said, once you've got that ideal customer in mind, think about all the things that they're buying, all the other services they're using on a day-to-day basis. Go out, go for a walk, get away from your desk and have just a good old brainstorming session on everything and anything that they're buying or using. Run back through that list and come back to what I said previously about which services are congruent with mine and the contact that they're going to be having with those businesses, which ones of them have the level of authority where if they do refer me, then it's going to mean something. That should help whittle your list down. And for there, we look at the most fundamental thing in your whole partner program, and that's what your partner value proposition is. This is all about why they would want to work with you, not the other way around, why they would want to work with you. So many people will lead a outbound partner conversation all about the value that you can deliver to someone's client. And that is right. That's why the partnership's there, is because there is some value to be delivered to the client. But if you lead your partner discussion with that, then all it says is that you want to sell to my client. If I'm receiving that approach and it's saying, oh, you just want access to my list, what you need to do is you need to think about the value you deliver to your partner's client, and then ask yourself the question, why is that important to them? What value does that bring to them? Because by positioning the value that you deliver to the partner, not their client, that's the partner value proposition, and it shows that you're really putting them at the forefront. So let me give you a couple of examples which will help contextualize this kind of concept. So I've done some work with a telemarketing agency, and they partnered with people who did inbound search. So SEO and pay-per-click, all that type of stuff, search-based marketing. The reason why the inbound search agency, SEO agency, pay-per-click wanted to work with telemarketers isn't because they gave them a commission on any fees. It's because they would provide leads to their client and then lose control over what happened with those leads. Now, although all their job was to do was provide leads, they are still going to be judged on how many sales are converted from those leads at the end of it all. By referring in a telemarketing agency that's high quality, they know those leads are going to be followed up better, which means they're more likely to convert, which means the client is going to not only keep using them, but potentially increase their spend on the lead generation activity that they're doing. And so it's about looking at people where your product or service in some way enhances someone else's product or service. Typically, you come the step afterwards or at the same time. So it's like the copywriter working with a web developer. Essentially, the web developer is there to build a website, right? But they're not going to get judged on how well coded a website is. Ultimately, they're going to get judged on how effective the website is. The brilliant copywriter helps the web developer deliver a brilliant website for their client. And that's the partner value proposition. It's about going, yes, said copywriter I'm delivering great words for your client, but it's not. The partner value proposition is I help you deliver websites that deliver on what the customer wants. And so that subtle shift around taking what you do for the client and elevating it to what you do for the partner will make the world of difference, both in your approaches. And if you keep that front of mind throughout all your other work with the partner, it really shows that you're thinking about them and the partnership, not just what your partner can do for you in terms of access to their clients. I can't stress how important kind of this mindset switch of it being about the partner is. Okay, do we kind of everyone get that kind of concept around partner value propositions? Yeah, perfect, cool. Alex, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, Dave, this is a really interesting thing actually about like really trying to force us to think about obviously partnerships not just being we want something from them, but what's the value we deliver. I just wondered if you had any particular thoughts around how to kind of approach that when you're a new brand. So you're starting out and maybe don't have the obvious kind of benefits of like, oh, we've got a huge audience, or, you know, where you're maybe more on the surface, you would be the less equal partner.
Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you for bringing it up. The majority of my partnership experience, I was in those shoes. So I was running this little old membership organization dealing with global brands as that access to the SME market. And there was a moment of realization once where my lead contact within a partner was going to go, and I was really worried because I didn't have a brilliant relationship with the other one. Not bad, I just didn't engage. And at the handover meeting, I then hung around to speak to my old contact at the end, and I said about my concerns, but that the meeting had gone really well. He went, "Are you crazy, Dave? I don't think you understand just how large a role you guys play in our overall SME marketing strategy." And it just blew my mind that this global organization saw us as like this key pin, and it really brought it home that we all have something to offer. Massively so. There is a reason why people will want to work with you. And if you are at the smaller end, then typically it will be because what you do adds credibility to them, adds impact to them, that you can work in a more agile way. There are things that you will be able to do, Alex, that they could do, but it would take them years of board meetings and everything else to get through. And so never underselling ourselves and really recognizing the unique value that we deliver. With someone like yourself, it's going to be around impact and CSR and profile and all those pieces. We underplay the value that we bring because we just do. It's the natural position for most of us to default to, and so it's confidence is the answer, Alex. Is uncovering that, and then as hard as it may seem, kind of going, you know what, I have got something really strong to offer here. There's a reason why we're small business owners and we do this stuff. We've got inherent strengths and skills that larger organizations just can't match. And that absolutely feeds into your partner value proposition.
Great answer. Thanks, Dave.
No worries at all. Thank you. Okay, right. So we know we've got kind of who our ideal partners are. We then move on to assembly, the behind the scenes systems. Now, there's a reason why I use this image. I love festivals and music and all sorts. But imagine whatever type of music it is you like, you've seen the most awesome lineup ever. Wall to wall, all killer, no filler. Really excited to get there. And then when you do get there, it takes hours to get in. It's an absolute shambles. Then you get in and there's only one bar and they're serving cans of Bud or something like that. And the queues are massive. And then the set lists, they're all out. So you don't know who's on when. And the sound system's rubbish as well. So the sound quality is really, really poor. Now, no matter how good the lineup is next year, you're not going back because you've lost all faith, all trust in their ability to deliver what they say they're going to do. And that's exactly what getting the behind the scenes systems is. That's why it's so necessary in your partnerships to get this right. It's not going to win you partnerships, but once you've got them, it is going to help maintain and build that trust that is so vital in forming long-term relationships. Not skipping, there we go. So the first one is about building trust, as I mentioned. The second piece is around, it helps you, getting this stuff right helps you set you up to be able to scale these things and deliver a consistent level of service. There's two things, there's all sorts of things to do here, but there's two things in specifically I really want to cover. The first one is around tracking. So if you're receiving leads in from partners on a consistent basis, it is absolutely essential that you know where every single one of those leads are in your kind of prospect journey, and then when they move into your customer journey, that again you know where they're at. And I appreciate not all journeys are completely linear, but having some kind of status or whatever it may be, because if your partner, there's a thing I say a lot about when a partner provides you with a lead or anyone provides you with a referral, they're not just giving you a lead or a prospect, they're entrusting you with a little bit of their reputation every single time they do that. And it's up to us as business owners and partners to treat that bit of reputation with the trust and the respect that it deserves. And first and foremost with that is, if our partner wants to know where someone is in that journey, then we need to be able to tell them. We need to be able to tell them quickly and confidently where they are. I've had partners who weren't able to do this before. And there's one or two things that kind of go through your mind. Where there is a commission model in place, you wonder, have they just not registered it because they're trying to get out of paying commission? Or do they just not know where that person is in the journey? Now that means they either look like a crook or they're incompetent. And neither of those two things are a good look for when you're working in partnership. So having some kind of making sure you've got some robust tracking in place of when leads come in, and then following all the way through the life cycle with them, of them as a customer if they convert, is absolutely essential. Now you can pay thousands a month on fancy partner management software. You can have a free CRM. You can have a spreadsheet. And it's better to have a spreadsheet that you use than a fancy system that you don't. But whatever you do, make sure you know where people that have been passed to you from partners, make sure you know where they're at and can communicate that effectively. The second thing I want to talk about is lead handling. So what that journey from partner to you. So bit of a news flash. I'm sure we've all had this before, where we've gone to do a new campaign with something and we think it's going to go amazing, and it doesn't quite go as well as we've planned, right? Whether it's our own direct campaigns or whether it's through someone else, typically things don't quite hit the heights that we imagine they will do. But every now and again they do, and they exceed expectations. And when that happens, we need to make sure that we're set up to be able to cope with that. One of those big brands that was on that that page of logos that I showed earlier, we worked with them to deliver a sales data campaign. So we were going to give all our members and all our prospects a free bunch of sales data. And we thought, this is going to be great. Members are going to love us, and we're going to use it as a lead magnet kind of thing for people to then join our membership. And we spoke to the brand, we told them about how it was going to work and that we're going to get great response. They said, yep, we can handle that, we can handle that. So we send our campaign, we generate just shy of 500 leads for them over a 2-day period. And there was supposed to be a 2-day turnaround of someone saying yes and then getting a response. And the organization weren't set up right, and it was taking up to 2 weeks. So instead of having happy members and happy prospects, we had complaints non-stop, the exact opposite of what we wanted from that partnership. And it just meant that all trust again was eroded, and it really made us think twice about whether we want to run similar campaigns again. So that I just want to kind of do that word of warning kind of thing on inbound leads is plan for the best, but expect not to hit it so that you're not too disappointed. But getting the tracking and the lead handling are probably the two areas where you're most likely to potentially damage your reputation if you don't get them right. Okay, so we know who our partners are. We've got some behind the scenes systems. I then can't go any further without looking at reward and recognition. It's a very, very grey area when you're looking at customer referrals. How do you reward them? Do you pay commission? Do you give an Amazon voucher? Do you do whatever? It really depends on whether people are extrinsically or intrinsically motivated. Most people will pass casual referrals because they want to, because they know, like, and trust you. When it comes to strategic referral partnerships, I would always recommend having a commercial relationship in place. And it elevates the relationship from a friendly handshake that you might have with a customer or a client to a proper business relationship. So yes, there's kind of probably the 80-20 rule of emotional versus kind of commercial or whatever, and that partner value proposition piece we mentioned will still be the main reason they refer you. Having a commercial relationship in place, as I said, it just elevates it. It formalizes the relationship, makes it something with a bit more longevity, and adds an air of seriousness to the relationship. Whether you do that on a percentage of revenue or a one-off fee, completely depends on your own structures. I've done like a 20-minute video just on this piece, which I will get Megan to put a link in the chat. Actually, Megan, please. But yeah, I would always have a commercial model in place. If the partners don't want it, then you can donate it. You can do all sorts of things with it. You can donate it to a charitable cause. You can pass it on to the customer potentially, but having something in there, I think, helps formalize it. Okay, so once we've got those behind the scenes systems in place, the next piece is nurturing. So it's the customer processes. It's how we stay in touch with our partners and form really deep relationships. We talked about systems in the previous section, and there can be a tendency to sometimes over automate relationships. And look, automation, isn't it? Yeah, automation absolutely has its place for some transactional stuff. But at its core, a partnership is still a human relationship, particularly at small business level. And so trying to over automate and not build those personal relationships is absolutely a pitfall that we don't want to be falling into. We want to form such tight relationships that if our competitors phone up our partners, they're not even taking the call. And we do that by recognizing that there are different reasons to communicate with our partners, and therefore different styles of doing it. Semi-automated or templated comms are brilliant for doing monthly reports. So that's stuff around tracking where leads are in the journey, proactively people sending your partners a monthly report of where everyone is, giving people updates on lead progression. All that stuff is great for automated or templated stuff. But then we need to add in the personal touch for building relationships. And there are three main ones that I want to cover today. The first one is around setting expectations. How many people here have had a business relationship or any relationship that seem to get off on the best footing? Like, we are on the same page here, this is going places, but then over time kind of just seem to drift apart to a point where you suddenly thought, how have we got this kind of apart in our thinking? Yeah, I've seen a few nods. In my experience, setting expectations or not doing this is the number one reason why partnerships either fizzle or fade out or never get going. And it's because if we're only 5% apart in our thinking at the outset, over time, that 5%, I'm going to do this. Let's see if I can do this. Right, if we're only 5% apart there, over time, that's not working, is it? Over time, that gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's really crucial to set expectations right at the outset. And there's a few here that I want to talk about. So first up is those long-term expectations. Where do we see this going? That's the piece that I just spoke about there, about making sure that we don't drift apart. But we then need to look at what do we do to get going. So again, how many of you have had conversations with potential partners that have just never got off the ground? Yeah, nods and hands. And typically that's because we focus on a big picture and we're all excited about everything that can happen, and we forget about what can we do right now. And so by planning in what can we do to just get started is a brilliant thing to do. Is it some shared content? Is it one introduction? What can we do that just builds momentum? Momentum is a really, really powerful thing in partnerships. And by just doing something little and setting expectations around that, it can kickstart the partnership. And once we start doing stuff, we typically keep doing stuff ongoing. Another really important thing on expectations, to ask the question, what does success look like? What does success look like for all parties? So that we're not leaving it to guesswork. We know exactly what we're all looking to get from that partnership. And the more defined that can be, the better. So really have these expectations, and I would say make sure that you then communicate expectations with your partners afterwards. Again, how many times have we been in meetings or maybe conversations with our better halves where
Dave, is there meant to be music playing, or is it just me?
Okay, I was
just wondering that as well.
Confused.
I've been looking at my whole computer trying to find
I
it.
thought it was like
We've
pumping
got
us up.
some metal going.
what's there? I have no idea what's going on there.
I was the same. I've just been
Strange.
searching my computer and my phone trying to work
It's still
out
going.
where it's coming from.
No,
it
it
still-
stopped now, Dave. It stopped.
Just
How
stop it.
random is that? What was it? I hope it was something that didn't show me in too bad a light.
No, it was like kind of some thrash bit like rock kind of stuff.
Which isn't
Yeah.
my normal forte. I'm more of a disco man, but a disco soul man. But there we go.
I thought it was definitely me. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay, right.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought it was
sorry
me
for
as well.
making simultaneously everyone on there go, "Wow, what's going on there?" I couldn't hear it. Very bizarre. There we go. It reminds me of that thing around my browser's like my mind. Like there's 8,000 tabs open, 2 of them are frozen. And where's that music coming from? But anyway, I digress. So yeah, the setting expectations is really, really key. Making sure we figure out where we're starting, what our long-term objectives are, and what success looks like for all parties, and then documenting that. That can either be in a formal partnership agreement, but at least send someone an email, because as I was saying, how many times we had, and this is typically true with our better halves, where you have a conversation, and then a week later you both remember that conversation very, very differently. The same is true in any relationship. So once you've had those expectations, document them. It doesn't have to be overly formal, but document and get buy-in, even if it's a response by email to say, yes, this is where we're at and this is what we're doing. The second bit of communication I want to speak about is keeping your partners informed. So we spoke about the need to track. Well, the follow on from that is keeping your partners informed about what's going on. If your partners ever gets to the stage where they're wondering what's going on with those bits of reputation they've entrusted you with, then you've already left it too late. So for most people, it's kind of a monthly report. If you're looking at a lower volume of higher value leads, maybe it's a higher touch per lead thing. It really does depend on the type of partnerships you're looking at. But and you can always ask your partners how informed they want to be and when. But making sure that you're proactively letting them know what's going on with the people that they're sending your way on an ongoing basis is absolutely crucial in building and maintaining that trust. And the final thing I want to talk about is formal reviews. This is a massively overlooked piece in terms of partnerships. I get it all the time where people say, "Oh, I'm chatting to my partners all the time though. Yeah, we speak almost daily." And I bet you do, and that's because of all the activity that's going on. Setting time aside to have separate meetings about the partnership itself is one of the most powerful things you can do. And there's 3 or 4 main aspects to what we want to be looking at in these meetings. First up, that setting expectations piece. We can look at what the expectations were and are we hitting them. And it's not about beating anyone over the head with a stick if they haven't been met. It's about if we know what success looked like and that success isn't being met, it makes a potentially difficult conversation much easier to have, and the conversation's all about whether you can support your partners more in order to hit those levels that we all thought we wanted to reach. We can review what long-term success looks like. We can then do 2 other things. We can ask our partners what we can be doing better. Because when you work in partnership, there will be little niggly things that maybe your partner isn't going to pick up the phone and speak to you about. Maybe it's not you that does it. Maybe it's someone in your team. And they wouldn't pick up the phone or drop you an email. But when you ask them in that kind of sharing collaborative space, what could we be doing better? They'll go, "Oh, there's just this little thing. If you could just do this or just do that, it'd be amazing." And we want to hear those because then it means we can solve them. We don't want niggles in our partnerships. We want them to be smooth and easy. And so by asking the question, we can make sure that we're delivering at every point. The other thing we can do is be curious. We'd love it to think that all our partners and all the people we work with are alive to the opportunity for us to do more with them. But I'll come back to that busy, easy thing. People don't. And so by being curious about what's going on in their world in general, what's going on with their business, by having the time and the space to be able to ask those questions and genuinely be curious, we will absolutely create more opportunity. Curiosity is the birthplace of opportunity. And so by taking the time to have those meetings with our partners we will absolutely uncover more opportunity for us and more opportunity for others. Okay, so they're the three. If there's a lot more, but if you do 3 different types of communication, they would be my top 3. Okay, so we know who our partners are. We've got our systems, and we've got our communication processes in place. Now we need to activate the partnerships. This is where we kind of tie it all together in this connection piece. This is where it goes past that excitement stage of this is going to be amazing, and it actually happens. And it's all about giving our partners the support in order to connect them to our audience. Now, there's 2 types of support here. The first one being partner facing. So this is essentially sales training for your partners. It's giving them all the benefit of your expertise, all the stuff that's in your head about the ideal time to refer you, what to listen out for, all those sorts of things, giving your partners access to that. I talk a lot about moments in time and triggers. So moments in time there are certain moments in time in a person or a business, whoever your target market is. There are certain moments in time where your product or service is the easiest to refer in, where if you're doing the direct selling in, there's those moments in times when you know what, then that's why I find it really easy. The door is open. They're absolutely going to use me. And so sharing those with your partners just allows them to have the benefit of that. And even if because what you also need to remember as well is, even if the person you're forming the partnership with, super switched on, they're a business owner, they get it, maybe it's not them that's activating the partnership. Maybe it's their team that's responsible for the partnership on a day-to-day basis. So their team needs a little bit more support. The flip on this to moments in time is what I call triggers. And so that's thinking about the pain points that you solve for your customers. When your customers are going through those pain points, there are things that they are saying when they're out and about, when they're chatting to your partners, when they're chatting to their network. What they're not saying is whatever's written on the back of your marketing brochure. They're saying real life kind of words, if you see what I mean. And so having a think about that, having a think about what those triggers are and sharing those with your partners. If you ever hear your clients saying these things, or if they're ever hitting these milestones, really spelling it out and making it easy for them to understand when to refer you will absolutely pay dividends. It may seem like you might get worried about teaching your partners to suck eggs. Like, isn't this stuff quite obvious? It's obvious to us because we do it. It's not common sense, it's experience. When I started this business, I was really nervous at the start because I thought that all the stuff that I do is just common sense. But it's layers and layers and layers and layers of common sense. And it's common sense to me because I've been doing it for years. So, and the same is true with what you do. We all think what we do is easy because we just do it. Your partners aren't going to have that. So to make going that extra mile and providing them with this stuff and just making it easy for them will absolutely help you get results. And you can position it right. You don't position it in terms of here's some scripts of things for you to say. It's what's worked really well with other partners is when we've given or what other partners have asked for, or what other partners have found useful is some of this content. So here you go. So you don't have to position it as being, you're not being dictatorish with it. You're offering support. The other side is making sure you get the customer facing stuff right. So this is all the external marketing that you would do for your own business anyway. What opportunities are there to do that for your partners? If they're going to proactively get you in front of their audience, what opportunities are there? Now, there is as many opportunities to do this as there are direct marketing channels. So it's about understanding which ones work for you, but also which ones work for your partners. You might have some great channels that you know work really well for you. You might be amazing at social and email marketing. I'm not really that fond of doing events. But if your partner regularly is getting hundreds of people to events or on a podcast or whatever it may be, then maybe it's worth doing that with them. So have a bank of stuff that's ready, but make sure you're asking your partners around where you can add value. Because if you've got your partner value proposition right, your partners should want to get you in front of their audience at every available opportunity. And if they have got things like events and newsletters and blog spots on their website, then their marketing manager will absolutely love you if you provide them with really good, high quality content on a regular basis, because it's less stuff that they've got to worry about. Oh, brilliant, I've got that spot filled. So it may seem like you're actually asking for more, but you are, and you are, but you're actually helping your partner. You're adding value to their audience in a way that creates positivity for everyone involved. The final thing I would say on this though is make sure you adapt it to be right for your partners. Going back to that make it easy thing. So many times I worked with massive marketing departments and they would still send us content as though they were sending it out directly from them, which meant every time I had to go in and tweak the tone or give it to someone else in the team to go in and adapt the materials to be right for us sending it out. And every time they did that, it annoyed me. And it goes back to that thing of you don't want your partners to be annoyed. You want it to be smooth and easy for them. So take the time to make those adjustments. Okay, so we're on to the final step now, engagement. We know who we're going to be targeting. We know that we've got the systems and the processes and the support in the place to make really, really strong partnerships. So it's now time to go out there and get them. And I'm going to come back to the easy part here, but it's going to be about making it easy for you guys, particularly if you're just starting out on your partner journey. Your ideal partner for right now is not your ideal partner for a year's time. Your early adopter partners, you want to be people who are going to be friendly, who are going to provide a volume of leads that isn't going to suddenly break your system, that are going to give you feedback, that are going to convert quickly and come on board as partners quickly so you can start testing and measuring. That potentially isn't the person you want in a year's time who's going to really catapult your business to the next level. And so there's a really key way about going and finding these early adopter partners. The first one, and this goes no matter what stage of partnerships you're at, is just remember your partner value proposition. Leading with what's in it for the partner, not what's in it for the client, will massively stand you in good stead. And the second piece is around using your network. For our initial partners, the vast majority of us here will either have them in our network or have them once removed in that kind of second circle. And so asking for referrals to partners, whether it's directly asking for referrals and introductions, or whether it's when you're out networking for partners, it's a really soft way of doing it. For all the work I do with people on their referral strategy around asking for referrals from customers, etc., there is still a barrier that when someone refers that person, they know that there's going to be a sell involved. If you ask someone for a referral to a partner, people will make that referral 99 times out of 100 because there's no pitch involved. It's a genuine opportunity. If it ever you should never sell a partnership opportunity. If it ever feels like you're pitching a partnership opportunity, then stop, because you are selling and you haven't got your value proposition right. It should always come across as a genuine opportunity, which means asking for referrals for potential partners works really, really easily because there's no sell involved. The other, when you're going direct, another really nice tactic when you're going direct is to ask for help. If you've got someone in your network who's within your partner demographic and you don't want to go out direct and kind of pitch partnerships at them, ask them for feedback. Let them know that you're building a partner program and that person's in your demographic and you'd love some feedback. Most people, contrary to what the media like to tell us, most people are actually pretty nice. And if we ask people for help and support, most people will feel quite chuffed that you've asked them and will give that. And what you'll get from that is you'll get genuinely good feedback from someone who's within your demographic, which will either show you maybe need to build something else out or that you've got it right, and potentially you'll get a partner that way. Once we've got those early adopter partners on board, we deliver an awesome service, we get case study, we get testimony, and we build our partner programs out from there. Okay, so be really clear on who your ideal partner is. Get an awesome partner value proposition that engages your partners from the outset. Make sure you've got the systems in place to build trust, maintain trust, and set yourself up to scale. Have a varying communication channels that help nurture those relationships, from setting expectations to keeping your partners informed and having those reviews in place. Give your partners all the support they need to refer you and promote you, and then make it easy on yourself. Use your network to build those partner programs out. Get all that in place and you'll be well on your way to having an awesome strategic referral partnership program. Right, I mentioned I would take 2 minutes very quickly to talk about how I can help. This dance framework is essentially what I do with my clients. I help people get this stuff in place for their business, a real kind of coach consultancy mix, and very much done with you in terms of getting all these strategies and systems in place in your business. I do this in a couple of ways. The Kick-Ass Collaboration Program is my dance framework in group coaching. It's a 6-month program, 2 half-day sessions a month, very implementation heavy. So we're doing the work in the sessions. You've then just got to kind of go out and do the doing outside of them. The partnership program is ready to launch by month 4 though. That's £400 per month. Next one of those kicks off in September after the summer holidays. There's one running at the moment. Also do this one-to-one, whether that's with you or with a team, online or in person, and either do that on the full dance framework, or a nice starting point that I do with a lot of people is, first and foremost, I look at their referral strategy. We look at what you're doing around customer referrals. Are you leaving money on the table there? That quite often is a nice route in and generates quick wins and immediate revenue that funds the rest of the partnership work. So if anyone is interested in finding out more about how I can support you in getting these types of things in place, please do get in touch. You can scan that QR code. Megan's going to put some links in the chat. On there as well, you'll find access to the slides. The recording will be up on there once it's been downloaded, and everything else. You can book a call with me, all that wonderful stuff. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, we can do that. And on the subject of word of mouth, if you've enjoyed today and you think you might know someone who would benefit from one of these talks or working with me, then referrals are always welcome, as is nice people saying nice things about me on LinkedIn. So there we go. Right, thank you everyone. I hope you've enjoyed that. We have got 10 minutes for some Q&A now, so I'm going to stop sharing. And yeah, any questions, anyone? Oh, stunned silence.
I think that was quite good. I think you wrapped it up well. There's a few things I can definitely identify in my process that I could improve. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. Thank you for saying. Awesome. Okay, I'm just having a quick scan through the chat, make sure there's nothing that went in there. Oh, here's that link. No. Oh, Laura, yes.
So I've got a list of people that I've identified as partners when I had a different service, and now it's I would like to let those people know that we now sell into different kinds of businesses, and this is the value prop. And you gave me a great idea, which is that those people are more likely to refer appropriate partners, and maybe somebody might self-identify, but I really love that tip about asking if you know anybody who can be a partner. It's one step away and almost easier to do. Yeah. Now I could do that quite easily through my CRM and make it look almost like a one-to-one email, because I think there's about 100 people on that list. Is that a really bad idea?
No, because there is a volume piece here, right? So this is that balance between automation and personal, right? And so I did something similar myself not that long ago, because there was a particular thing that I wanted to promote, and offered the people to book in a call to catch up kind of thing. And so we're all grown-ups, right? We realize that people send templated emails out, okay, because of scale, because we're all busy. And so as long as for me personally, I think it's about honesty. So as long as you're not trying to hide that, I think it's fine to do that thing on scale, but make sure there's an opportunity for people to engage with you personally if they want to. People that respond, you can then obviously pick up on that in a much more personal way. But that first outreach, I don't think there's an issue with that, Laura. Not for me personally, anyway.
Great, thank you. And when I send that email out, I'd love to, I know I'll like mess around with the template and I'll probably send something very short, but the fact that I'm sort of going out there with a warmish audience, I think I can just say things have changed from our side. Hope things are great with you. Would love to hear how you're getting on. By the way, this is what's happening with us. And, you know, that would be my style. Any other tips on that?
I did something very similar when I sent my one out actually, and I think I did a thing where I said, look, it genuinely would be good to catch up. So if you want to do that, there's a link at the bottom of the email. You can book a call. I said, but now I am asking for something. I'll be honest. And then I just went in. So yeah, no, I did kind of the format that you're talking about, and it got a good response. So
Great, thank you. I'll let you know how I get on.
yeah, please do. Alia, you mentioned something about seeing a difference in commercial relationships and people being put off by them.
No, I'm put off by them.
Yeah,
So,
lots of people are. The money conversation can be a bit of an icky one, right? Where it's like, oh, is there a specific thing around that, or just in general?
I think it's my values. I don't want to be paid for doing something or passing over business because I'm not going to pay you, kind of thing. It's like I do it out like because I think you are the right person. I feel like you're going to add the right value to the customer, because I work really hard to make sure I haven't got any knobheads basically in my network. And so I know when I make a connection, they are genuine people. So yeah, I think maybe just as a value as a person, the idea of getting paid for that probably just does make me feel ick, because I do it because it's the right thing to do. And you know, you don't do it to get something back, but you know, you build that trust and it will come back.
Yes, and in general, I'm completely with you. And I would never refer someone just for the money side. That's why that partner value proposition piece is so crucial. But where you're going to be working with a business that's doing this on a consistent basis, so it's not ad hoc, you typically, it's not necessarily about better results, but there will be, but you're protecting yourself for that being a long-term relationship. It elevates it above, oh, we'll just see what we can do when we can do it. Now, I'm not saying it has to happen all the time, because some people can be really against it, in which case you don't want to overly force it. But typically the conversation around that is easier. And if you don't want to receive the commission, there's other ways that you can do that. It can go into a charity pot, it can be a discount back to the customer, it can be whatever it may be. There's other ways of working it. Where it is doable and comfortable for all parties, it just, as I said, it just formalizes and elevates it. But if you're not comfortable with that being a physical commission paid, and a stress is never the main reason, there are other ways that you can look at doing it. But if both parties are happy that way, great. I've seen loads.
Would it be just because my margins are quite tight, 'cause I'm not greedy, I picked out what was reasonable based on what we do, and then stuck to it. So I don't generally do discounts for that reason. So
Okay.
What do you do, like 10%, or how do you work it?
So it varies. There is no golden rule, other than it has to feel fair to both parties. You can't resent paying commission, and your partners can't feel kind of semi-insulted, kind of nonplussed by it. As I said, it's never the main reason. Never ever. It's the partner value proposition is the piece. This just helps elevate it, particularly where it's if you're dealing with slightly larger businesses as well, because then it protects against people leaving, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I say this, by the way, I am an avid networker, so I do give lots of referrals, but then you say that, and actually there's a web developer, just because he's so good, I've easily given him about 20 grand's worth of business and he's never given anything back. And it does, it has got me to a point where I'm just like,
yeah, so there we go. And I'm the same. I'm a massive connector of people. This is what I do, and most of them I do that freely and openly, because I love what I do and I love connecting people. But there are relationships that I've put a commercial angle in place, and if I'd have done that going way back, I'd have a very nice residual income business by now. But hey, so it's not turning every relationship that way. It's just looking at some of the key ones where maybe it is appropriate.
okay.
Cool. I'm aware we're at 1 minute too. So any more? I mean, I'm happy to stay and answer questions if anyone has got any. No, we're all good. Then I am going to thank you all for coming along. I hope you got some good value from that. There'll be an email winging its way to you with links and all that sort of stuff afterwards. And anything more I can do to help, please just shout. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. May the sun keep on shining.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Cheers,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.